A man sits alone in his dimly lit garage, staring at an old family photo. His fingers trace the smiling face of his son, Michael, frozen in time at 16. His hands tremble as he holds a handgun, his grip tightening. His face is a mixture of grief and determination. Michael had been a good kid, polite, smart, with dreams of becoming a doctor. He wasn't the kind of boy who got into trouble. He studied hard, respected his parents, and even tutored younger students after school. But none of that mattered when a gunman walked into his school and took his life. The shooter was just 17, a classmate with a history of violent outbursts. Teachers had reported his disturbing behavior multiple times, but nothing had been done. Then, one morning, he walked into the school with a rifle hidden under a long coat. By the time the police arrived, 5 students were dead. Michael was one of them. The police caught the shooter trying to escape through the back of the school. His face was blank, expressionless, as if he felt nothing for what he had done. They took him away in handcuffs, and the trial began months later. John Carter sat in the front row of the courtroom, his hands clenched into fists. He listened as the defense painted the shooter as a troubled teen who had been bullied. They said he had a difficult home life. They spoke about rehabilitation, about giving him a second chance. Then came the verdict. Because the shooter was a minor, the judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison. There was no life sentence, no death penalty, just 20 years. John barely felt the grip of his wife on his arm as he stared at the boy who had destroyed his world. 20 years? That meant this monster would be free before he turned 40, free to live his life while Michael was gone forever. Something inside him snapped. For weeks, John obsessed over the case. He read every article, watched every news report, memorized every detail. He didn't sleep much. He stopped eating regularly. His wife begged him to let it go, but he couldn't. Then, one day, he found what he was looking for. The shooter was being transferred to a different facility in another state. A long transport route that would take hours, most of it through isolated highways. No security escort, just a single van with 2 guards. John knew what he had to do late one night. He parked his truck on the side of a deserted highway, engine idling. His heart pounded as he watched the prison van approach in his rearview mirror. He gripped the steering wheel, waiting for the perfect moment. Headlights grew closer. With a deep breath, he slammed his foot on the gas. The truck swerved violently, slamming into the side of the van with full force. The impact sent the van skidding off the road. It flipped once, twice, then crashed into a ditch. Silence followed, broken only by the groans of injured guards and the sound of the shooter coughing inside the wreckage. John stepped out of his truck, his gun cold and heavy in his hand. He approached the van, his boots crunching against broken glass. He yanked the door open, revealing the shooter lying on the floor, blood dripping from a cut on his forehead. Their eyes met. For the first time, the boy looked truly afraid. He tried to speak, to beg, but John didn't care. He raised the gun. A single gunshot echoed through the night.